Hello, this video is for IXL Activity 8.V.10. It is titled Identify Terms and Coefficients. The 3-character code for this lesson is, or this activity, is Tango 8 Kilo, T8K. All right, so starting off, I have this graphic here that's going to help us out in our lesson that we did about this on the textbook lesson. We learned that terms are the elements of an expression that are separated by the addition signs, such as 2x, 4y, and 9. And you might say, well, and actually this one here, this graphic, I now realize that someone has made a mistake doing it. Really hadn't looked at it that closely, but as I look at it now, that actually terms are separated by addition signs. So if we think about this, minus 9 should be plus a negative 9, meaning that the term is not positive 9, but it's actually negative 9. So a little bit of a correction there. Outstanding. Didn't catch that whenever I grabbed that graphic. So the terms are 2x, 4y, and negative 9. And we learned that variables are the variables are a symbol that represent a value that can change. And in mathematics, the symbols that we use for variables are letters, and they're lowercase letters. So this x and the y, those are the variables that we have. And the coefficients are the values that are in front of the variables, such as 2 and 4. So again, terms, the parts of an expression separated by a addition sign, such as 2x, 4y, and negative 9. The variables are the letters, and the coefficients are the numbers that are in front of the letters. So as we move along, let's look at the first question here. How many terms are in this expression? So we know that terms are separated by the addition sign, so we could count them. 1, 2, 3, so there are 3 terms. It's always going to be one less than the number of plus signs, or actually one more than the number of plus signs. So we have 2 plus signs. That's going to give us 3 terms. Looking at the next one, how many terms are in this expression? And we could rewrite this as a sum, a plus negative 10. But still, how many terms are here? Well, 1 plus sign, so add 1 to 1, we would get 2, and we can see that there's 2 terms there. How many terms in the next expression here of 10x plus 6p to the third plus 5p squared r cubed? So how many terms are here? We have 1, 2, 3, so there are indeed 3 terms, and we do see that there are also 2 plus signs. So you can always take the number of plus signs and add, I'm distracted because I just kicked my desk, but add 1 to the number of plus signs to get the total number of terms. What is the coefficient of the first term in this expression? So our first term is right here, right? And what is the coefficient? Well, the coefficient is the number that's out in front of the variables. So in this case, it is positive 7. So 7 is the coefficient of the first term in the expression. What is the coefficient of the third term in this expression? So we would count them 1, 2, 3, so it's right here. However, we might want to rewrite this so that we can see that, and that could be 8, and then change that to plus. And remember, we could put a 1 in front of each of these, so that's plus negative 1 kn. Change this subtraction here to plus, and we could have a 1 there, so that's negative 1 km. And then we got the plus 6. Now let's 6k actually to be exact. And now, what is the coefficient of the third term? So we go 1, 2, 3. So we're talking about this term here. What value do we have out in front of the coefficient, out in front of the variables? And that number is negative 1. So remember, wherever you see a subtraction sign, let me erase this here. Wherever you see a subtraction sign, realize that that's a negative 1, and I'm looking for one. We'll see one later where even if it's a plus sign, it's a positive 1. But just because there's no number in front of the variables does not mean that it does not have a coefficient. whenever you can't see it, it's the invisible one. It's always the value of 1. You can't see it. It's the invisible one. Every variable has a friend. It's just that if it's a 1, it's the invisible one. So which of the following are terms in this expression? So here's a term, here's a term, here's a term. Let's find ones that are here that match up, and we could select that. What about q cubed? Well, I don't see q cubed by itself. Now you might say, well, here's q cubed right here, but that's not the entire term. It has to be the term itself. So this one's not going to work. P cubed r. P cubed r. Oh, right there it is. P cubed r. That's the third term, so that one's good to go. We'll select it. What about just terms of r? Well, you might say, well, here's an r right here, and here's an r right here. However, it's not an r by itself. It's with other stuff. The term has to be, the variable portion of the term has to be absolutely identical 100%. So this doesn't count. What about 2p squared q squared? Oh, right there it is, second term, right? So that one's good to go. So the second selection and the fourth selection match up to 2 of the terms in the expression. On the next one here, which of the following are terms in this expression? Select all that apply. So let's see, we've got a term here, and we have a term here, here, and here. And remember, this could also be written as plus negative 4m squared. So looking for which ones match up. 6k cubed, and I should have said cubed there. 6k cubed m cubed. 6, well, here's a coefficient of 6, k cubed m cubed, but it also has the n squared to it, and we don't have that there, so that one's not going to work. Remember, it has to match up 100%. And looking down here, I see the one with the 6. Let's see, does this match up? 6k cubed, m squared, n squared, m cubed, n squared, m cubed, n squared. Well, it's a tough day trying to get those cubes and squares correct today. And what about just m cubed? Well, I don't see an m cubed anywhere. Right here we do have a 4, right? But we're missing we don't have the 4 there. So since that's not there, it's not the same. That should be actually a negative 4. So this one doesn't work. And then k cubed, k to the third. Well, there's k to the third right there. So this one does check out. Maybe I'd just try saying to the second or to the third. Squaring cube seems to be difficult on my tongue today. What is the coefficient of the third term in this expression? So 1, 2, 3. So we're talking about this term right here. It does have the negative sign. So remember that we could put a 1 in front of it. Therefore, what number is out in front of all the variables? And that is negative 1. Because remember, this term here could be rewritten as plus negative 1 a cubed b cubed c squared. Whew. So right there's the number value out in front of the variables. It is our leading coefficient. I like to put them always put them before the variables, and that's why we call those leading coefficients, because they come before it. Notice like the negative 4 comes before the b squared c right here. So what is the coefficient of the first term in this expression? So here's our first term. You might say, there's no number there. How do I answer this? There's no number. Well, remember, we can always put that 1 there. So it is a positive 1. And final question, which of the following are terms in this expression? Select all that apply. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, and we have because think of this as plus negative m squared, which we see that right here. So that's one of them right there. It kind of matches up. What about 5n squared? Well, we have the 5 here, and we have the n squared, but we don't have the m cubed is missing, so this one's not going to work. M squared, oh, there it is right here at the beginning, right? So we know that one works out. And what about just 8 by itself? Indeed, We have 8 by itself as well. So this one works out as well. So the last three, only the first one was not a term of this expression. So those are all of my examples for IXL 8.V.10. Identify terms and coefficients. Good luck with your activity.